And then there were 3 races remaining in the 2024 INDY NXT by Firestone Championship. Our only visit of the season to the Pacific Northwest with a beautiful look downtown and straight to the grid on a picture-perfect morning just after 10 o'clock on the West Coast. Good afternoon if you're watching on the East Coast. Welcome to NBC Sports coverage of INDY NXT by Firestone, where it is nice and cool this morning with sunshine and temps in the low 60s. Ahead of IndyCar on USA Today at 3 o'clock Eastern. It's time for the INDY NXT by Firestone Grand Prix of Portland. Kevin Lee, Charlie Kimball, DJ Clark, and we are getting sets to potentially crown a champion today. Charlie, the scenarios are in place. Louis Foster, who's going to start on pole, has a scenario where he could wrap it up today in what has turned out to be a very dominant season.
And he's taking care of business already this weekend, picking up the bonus point, qualifying on pole yesterday. He had the whole field covered by 0.2 of a second, which, as tight and competitive as it is around the short Portland International Raceway, is very impressive.
So if he exits today up by 108 points or more, Louis Foster will be crowned the champion with 2 races to go. Jacob Abel is his closest contender, and he does start right behind him. But certainly Foster, who has won 6 of the last 8 races, is in very good shape. With 2 more races to go, but keep in mind, both are on ovals where anything can happen. Well, speaking about the championship leader, our DJ Clark caught up with Foster just moments ago.
And good morning, Kevin. Good morning, Charlie. I am down here with Louis Foster, the man of the moment. Louis, we've got championship clinching scenarios here for you this weekend. Is that factoring into your mind, or are you just focused on the task at hand?
Yeah, obviously it factors in a little bit. But, you know, we're on pole. We want to get around turn 1 safely. So I think, like I said, that's the target for this race. I think if we can lead lap 1, I think we should have a good shot winning the race.
Well, turn 1 is that danger zone. Do you have any strategies that you've worked out to try to avoid any carnage like we saw last year?
I think just the goal is get around that barrier as soon as possible. I think once you're around the corner, you're usually clear of the incident, if it does occur. But you can't really control people behind you do, so you just got to hope and pray a little bit.
All right, well, we'll be hoping and praying for you that you have a good race, Louis. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, well, that is our championship leader, but his championship contender is Jacob Abel, and he'll be starting to his outside. Jacob needs a little bit of luck to fall his way in order to be able to claim that championship, but he's got a shot to be able to do it, as we said, starting on the outside. But consider this, Kevin and Charlie, just how dominant Louis Foster has been this year. By merely starting this race, he will eliminate all other drivers, including Kyle Collette, from championship contention. The only one left, Jacob Abel.
Louis Foster has been dominant this season. His 2nd year at this level, 3rd year racing in America. He won the USF Pro 2000 championship for his scholarship 2 years ago. But the reason why he can't be fully comfortable, even with that massive lead, is because of the turn 1 complex, the chicane, Charlie, and this is what we saw last year.
You come down, all it takes is one misstep from a single driver, and it cascades. Here in the Pacific Northwest, the shadows of the Cascades, you talk about one driver tipping on into a spin. There's not a whole lot of room to grow. Everyone, that 4, 5, 6, they try and go 7 wide sometimes into there, and then it goes down to 1 lane, as you see Christian Rasmussen last year, just getting tipped into a spin and taking a lot of people out of contention.
And Rasmussen was in the same position last year. Now, he did recover and came back and finished 5th in that race. You saw Foster. He's got the experience. On pole, he got through, won this race last year, looking to celebrate in style from victory lane today. It's all to play for here at Portland International. The drivers are strapped in, and we are nearly ready to go. First, it's time to go downstairs for the command.
Start it. Here to give the command to start engines, your Grand Marshal for the Grand Prix of Portland, guest of Firestone, Tim Williamson.
Drivers, start your engines!
17 entries here in the third to the last race of the season and the final road course opportunity for these young drivers hoping to make their way up to IndyCar. And this is how they're going to line up. There goes Lou Foster in the Copart Novara Technologies car on pole for the 5th time this season. And now, once this goes green, the only driver left with a chance at the championship starts next to him, Jacob Abel, who has 2 wins on the season in the Abel construction car.
Inside of row 2, James Rowe trying to recover that early season form. He got a podium at Barber on that permanent road course. Reese Gold, he's got a couple of top 5s this year, trying to translate that 4th place grid spot into another one.
Row 3, Euban Sundermorthy coming off his first podium of his career, and he has experience here at this level. He raced as a rookie last year. And Bryce Aaron, who came home 6th last week on the oval in the Jaguar Land Rover of Chesterfield car.
Christian Brooks from Santa Clarita, California. This will be his 6th Indy NXT by Firestone race, and he's finished in the top 8, all 5 of them. Outside of that, Caio Collet qualified up front, but a 6th place grid penalty from an incident at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Salvador de Alba Jr. has some momentum in the Grupo Indy car, 3rd and 4th in his last 2 races, both on ovals though. And Jamie Chadwick in the Vex car has a win on a road course this year at Road America.
Inside of row 6 is Josh Pearson. He's trying to rebound from an accident last weekend at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Outside of row 6, Jonathan Brown has 6 top 10s this year. Need to do a little work to get another top 10.
Callum Hedge has had a really good rookie season. 4th in the championship in the HRC car. And Christian Bogle, who had his best career finish here last year, 4th at Portland in the Pelican Energy car.
Inside of row 8, Miles Rower has had a rough few races previous to this weekend. He started off the year well, a little rough, but Jack Miller didn't even get to take the start without contact, putting him out last weekend.
And Ricardo Escoto is back this weekend. It's good to have Hunkos Hollinger racing back in Indy NXT. He's making his 4th start of the season. All right, how do you separate yourself from the rest? It's time for Kimball's Keys.
It's all about turn 1 management. We talked about how hard it is, how easy it can be to get collected by something that's totally not your fault. These drivers have to give themselves exit strategies and off-ramps to be able to get through that. Portland International Raceway is one of the shortest tracks we go to, just over a minute lap. There's no time to rest, breathe, or think about what you're doing. Even down the front straight, you're worrying about that turn 1 complex. It's a bull ring. These drivers have got to be up on the wheel.
2 long straightaways, one with a little bit of a twist, and this is where they are going through now. It's the exit of 7. Turn 8 is a little bit of a kink. In that run down through another kink, what they call turn 9, but then turn 10 is a passing zone.
10 and 11 is one of the fastest corners on this racetrack. It's a Chamber of Commerce day here in the Pacific Northwest, and we're getting ready to go.
They will get going at the exit of that little quick complex that they go to right here. 10 and 11, around 12. A champion could be crowned today. Louis Foster starts on pole in that orange and black car. The red, white, and black car is Jacob Abel, the only other driver still in play right behind, but so many more looking to end their season and finish the season with momentum. Here we go from Portland. Foster with the run down into the chicane. Abel tucked in right behind him. He's going to take a look to the inside. Jacob Abel has a chance at the move. He gets it done. Abel through, and there's chaos in back.
Couple of cars going around taking the runoff through the chicane. That's the 2 cars, Salvador de Alba Jr. getting spun around in that Grupo Indy. We're currently still green. Jacob Abel knew he had to take advantage on the start, steal that lead from Louis Foster, get a point for leading the lap if he can hold on to the end of this lap.
On board for Louis Foster. Understand why he might be conservative. He doesn't win the championship. He starts throwing things away. Jacob Abel knew that. He could be aggressive. Foster still charging, though. We stayed green. Everybody got going again. Ricardo Escoto picked up quite a few spots there. Likely taking advantage of others getting tangled up together. He's in that green and black car, who started last and has moved forward 4 or 5 positions. There's Euban Sundermorthy coming off the podium last week.
I'm sure the stewards will review as Louis Foster in Jacob Abel's draft down to turn 1. The stewards will be reviewing that start in that turn 1 complex.
Foster is tucked up right behind Abel, so this one is not done yet. Let's look at the beginning again. Two things to look at. What's up front, and then what happened in the back. Let's look at the back first. You see a little lockup on the inside there.
Sunworthy, it looks like he's not able to make the apex. Bangs into the side. That might be Christian Bogle. And then a little further back, I'm not sure if that's Escoto or who that is, actually, getting into the back of D'Alba and spinning him around. Might have been Josh Pearson, actually.
So I think that was James Rowe. That is James Rowe, the top con car, the white and blue that was impacted, and he lost 13 positions from his second row start. So he's the one that got hip checked the most. D'Alba lost 8 spots, Gold lost 4, Chadwick lost 3, and under review is something on lap 2 with Ricardo Escoto. He may have taken a shortcut somewhere. So maybe that's why he picked up so many spots.
I did notice coming off of turn 2, he moved to the inside, maybe let some cars back by. I don't know if that was discretion being the better part of valor to try and give those places back and avoid more ire from the stewards.
108 is the magic number for today, so as long as Jacob Abel stays in front, the championship moves on to Milwaukee. Louis Foster is still in a very comfortable position. That's still almost a 2-race pad, and it's going to take calamity for him, but we would mathematically stay alive moving on. Here's the Ticket Clinic car with Reese Gold getting a little run, trying to go around the outside of Yuban Sunworthy.
Turns into the inside of 9. That is a bold place to try and go side by side. We saw it a little bit in the USF Pro races this weekend, but not very successfully. Discretion, the better part of valor there for Yuban, letting Reese Gold take the position.
That's for 7th. DJ, tell us more on the Wisconsin draft.
Yeah, they're checking out to see exactly what's going on with Yuban Sunworthy and that car. They think there may be a little bit of damage from the Abel Motorsport camp. I also had a chance to check about Jacob Abel himself, and what you're seeing is the exact plan they drew up last night. They wanted to attack Louis Foster from the get-go and put Foster on the back foot in the early stages of this race.
Louis Foster definitely showing great speed, though. He knows what he needs to do for the championship, but he's still got the pace in the car based on the qualifying speed to try and drive away from Jacob Abel, but catching and passing have always been two very different things.
Foster is still right there, less than half a second away. Found what Ricardo Escoto did. Oh yeah, you have to follow the path. You know this, you're a steward, Charlie, for the USF championships.
Yeah, and our rules were a little different. We encouraged all our drivers to make every effort possible to stay on the racetrack. In fact, in the drivers' meeting, we were very clear. If you cut the chicane on the start of the restart, we'd give you a drive-through. We had to hand out a few of those. But what it means is if you don't follow that chicane path here in INDY NXT by Firestone and don't give up time and position, the stewards will look very, very unkindly on that.
So Escoto, who just made a move up to 9th, is going to give it all up. He's going to have to drop behind the 29 car. So you could argue, so that's all the way back to 15th. I want to see this one more time. Was he forced off?
No, he just missed it.
He was not. He just missed it. So you can't even argue that, yeah, I was just trying to avoid a crash. Unfortunately, he just made a mistake.
And at that point, he has to drop to the tail end of this car. And remember, earlier in the year, we had some issues with Ricardo Escoto in that car. There was some radio communications where he wasn't able to hear the stewards. I know race control in the steward's office will be watching very clearly to make sure he drops back and gives up those positions as quickly as possible.
So we'll keep an eye on that to see how that changes. Meanwhile, let's go on board with the championship lead running in second and a little coming together a little further back.
Christian Brooks looking at a move there. Josh Pearson and Reese Gold running side by side through 3 and into 4. This is a fast corner trying to go side by side through there. Reese Gold gets it done.
Josh Pearson qualified well. This is his hometown race. The 18-year-old grew up in Wilsonville, which is just south of Portland. So he's got a lot of friends and family here looking for a good day in the open context. Number 14 car. Let's hear some radio communication with Pearson.
You're doing a very good job in turn 1 and 2, Josh. Your exit out of 2 is very good. Focus forward. Don't use push to pass unless you absolutely need it.
That's Steven Simpson, his coach and his spotter. former Indy Lights driver. A lot of success in sports cars as well. There's the look up front again. Abel is controlling things. We don't know, though, is whether is Foster just content to ride around for a little while. Let's see who saves the Firestones the most. Maybe there's a caution and a restart, and I'll go at it then.
And with 35 laps in these Firestone tires, they'll start to fall off towards the end. You know, we talked about early how short this lap is around here. There's not a whole lot of rest for these tires. Even that back straight from turn 7 down to turn 10, you've got a lot of wheel in it all the way through that right-hander. But both here and the front straight's a great opportunity to use that push-to-pass system. Gives you an extra 50 horsepower boost, 150 seconds total. It's limited by rules, so you can't use it all the time. And it's not available right away on starts and restarts, only once the lead driver gets to, or the driver gets to the alternate start finish line, which is there into turn 10.
Here's a look at the Andretti pit stand. You see some of the leadership. J.F. Thorman there in the near ground. Michael Andretti in the background. Let's learn more about Foster with DJ.
Yeah, I had a chance to talk to that Andretti Global Brain Trust there, Kevin, and they said they're content where they are. They think they've got the outright pace to be able to take it to Abel. They're letting him use up his stuff, and they think this race is going to come to him a little bit later on.
By the way, no action on what happened at the start of the race. And the only thing that has been declared was that Escoto, as we see James Rowe come to a stop, Escoto did move back. So he moved back right there with James Rowe. They were together. Is that a coincidence? And that is going to bring out a yellow.
One coming now.
So what happened to James Rowe?
Can you get it going or no?
And that tells us that answer, that Escoto
We're still
was
green.
wrong.
I called it was yellow. It's not yellow yet. It is
Okay.
still green. So we'll see if the car's
Call cycle
now
of
it
power
goes
cycle.
yellow.
Well, you knew it was going yellow. You've been there in those
Oh my gosh.
decisions. So there's the yellow that Foster and maybe others were looking for. Note that Bryce Aaron has moved up to third. And there's Escoto with significant damage to his Juncos Hollinger car. And let's see if James Rowe is able to continue to fight. What happened? Oh, boy.
That's misjudged.
Oh, boy.
That is, as James would say, suboptimal. Overtaking maneuver, just got in there too hot, wasn't close enough. These Indy NXT cars have a lot more mass, a lot more horsepower to them. And you get it wrong, and it is very wrong there. And the stewards very aware of Ricardo Escoto after the Detroit Grand Prix. He'll have to come in and change that wing, and even after the sort of self-penalization here, I would expect the stewards to review that situation very, very firmly.
So Ricardo Escoto was doing double duty this weekend. He was running in the USF Pro Championship, so that's a nice transition. Their season is over. It is complete, and let's recognize the champions, the future IndyCar drivers, starting with the USF Pro Championship and the Junior Championship. Max Taylor wins that championship, clinched it yesterday. Liam McNeely won all 3 races this weekend to finish second. You might recognize the name Sebastian Weldon, who finished third in that championship, Dan's 15-year-old son. Max Garcia won the USF 2000 championship with Pabst Racing. And Lockie Hughes won the USF Pro 2000 championship. I want to mention Nikita Johnson as well. He won, I think, 8 races on the season. Lockie won 5, and he joins us in the booth here in the series that he will compete in coming up next season. Lockie, welcome. Congratulations. Let's try again. Welcome. There we go.
There you go.
Yeah.
No,
This is just rehearsal.
No, I mean, thanks for having me. I mean, it's been a great year. It's so cool to be up here in the booth. It's almost like watching it at home, but in 3D. So seeing it all happen right before my eyes.
Did you celebrate a little bit last night?
Yeah, a little bit.
Sounds like it. Yeah, good for you.
We had a nice team dinner and everything, and ready to watch some Indy NXT and IndyCar action today.
The team is Turn 3 Motorsports, led by Peter Dempsey, who won one of the greatest races and finishes in the history of motorsport, that 4-wide finish in the Freedom 100 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway a few years ago. So he is a great mentor. We'll talk more about Lockie after we settle in. We're getting ready to restart again here We saw Ricardo Escoto climbing out of the car, so James Rowe also has lost the lead lap. We have 15 on the lead lap right now. It's still Jacob Abel, who grabbed the lead at the start. He needed to do that to stay alive in the championship. There are 3 to go, including today. Louis Foster, points as they run, plus 79. He would need to be plus 108 to wrap it up today. How aggressive will he be? Here's the restart zone. Green again from Portland. It's a good jump from Jacob Abel. What kind of run is Foster going to have? How aggressive will he go into the chicane in turn number 1?
They fan out too wide, a little further back. Jacob Abel holds the lead. Christian Brooks on Reese Gold just maintains that 5th position. They're still racing side by side into turn 4 for the lead.
Here we go. Foster looks to the outside. Now he's got a good run, and he'll have another straightaway to think about it going down into that 10-11 complex. Abel does a nice job of defending, maintains a 2-car length gap. Bryce Aaron back there in that red and white car is ready to pounce in 3rd, and Kyle Collette, who is quick, had a penalty but qualified 2nd. Fastest in his group. He's right there in the green and black car running in 4th with Christian Brooks, who has been massively impressive since joining the series midseason. He's running in 5th. Jack William Miller's got a little run back there in that blue car, trying to make a move on Sunnerworthy.
Miles Rowe deciding to back out of a move on Josh Pearson. Those guys have been racing side by side so far. We are 11 laps into 35 laps here. Jacob Abel did what he needed to on that restart, and a great run with Bryce Aaron in 3rd as well.
Really good restart for Abel. It's going to be tough sledding to be able to win the championship, but what he wants to do is reestablish winning. He led the championship early in the season, and then he had a little rough patch midseason, and Louis Foster just caught fire. But if you can win more than 2 races in a season at this level, you're showing that you might want to give me a good think about moving up to IndyCar, and that's what Jacob Abel is trying to do.
And Louis Foster has gotten the momentum, and he has, once he got the bit between his teeth and started winning races, he never looked back. He has been fast everywhere we've gone. We thought, the short ovals to finish out the season might be a chance for Jacob Abel. Louis Foster with a great run here down to turn 10. He looks to the inside. This will be a pass for the lead side by side. They touch.
And Abel stays in front.
All of us in the booth putting our hands up thinking there was going to be a crash. Jacob Abel holds on with a little contact from Louis Foster through turn 10.
And that's the most significant part, is they all continue to fight on. The gap expands for Abel, but not by much. Foster is still right there. Aaron is not far back. Collette, Brooks, Gold. Miles Rowe has moved up to 7. Sunnerworthy just got a position up into 8th on Josh Pearson, and Jamie Chadwick is in the top 10.
James Rowe is back out on track 3 laps down after repairing some of that damage from the contact from Ricardo Escoto, but we saw Ricardo Escoto climbing out of the car. He's our only retirement. We go on board with Louis Foster down into turn 10. This is a 5th gear corner contact. Oh, it still makes me nervous watching it, knowing how it comes out.
Right front to left rear, so there was that. Meanwhile, before the caution, this was what we caught off the radio from the 26 car.
You heard that spotter call clear there.
That's a block, that's a block.
And there's the commentary we had heard there was something about. So Foster thinks that Abel was blocking him early.
Block.
And what's the procedure? The team will call that in.
The team will call that in. The stewards will look at it. They've got a lot of cameras, multiple replay techs helping the stewards see what's going on. You know, and that's another tool for a driver. You can pass them on the racetrack, but it's even easier if the stewards move them out of the way for you. So if you can, you complain whenever you can and get the stewards to help you.
So we'll keep an eye on this. Meanwhile, there has been a retirement. I think it's a retirement. Let's hear from Ricardo Escoto with DJ.
Yeah, Kevin, it is indeed is a retirement here for Ricardo Escoto. Obviously, we've taken a look at that replay, but from your perspective, what happened?
Yeah, you know, just very tough racing, and yeah, I just launched it down the inside, and he didn't see me, so he just turned in. I mean, he ended both of our races, you know. He could have just opened up a bit, but it is what it is, you know. Same to end it like this for the team, you know. They work so hard for me, and we have a lot of positives to take, you know. We started last, we were already P9, so yeah, definitely a lot to take, but yeah, it just really hurts this time.
A tough pill to swallow, but we'll see you back and stronger soon.
Yeah, for sure. You know, we take the learning point from this and we move on.
All right, there you go. That's Ricardo Escoto.
Well, the stewards disagree. There's a penalty pending. So if we see him again, he will have something to deal with. For example, we had a situation last week with Kyle Collette, who made contact. By the way, did apologize publicly, profusely, for ending Jamie Chadwick's race. Kyle Collette had to serve a 6th grid spot penalty coming into this week and has recovered. He's up to 4th right now. So a little action there mid-pack as Abel continues to hold off Foster. Then Aaron, Collette, Brooks, Gold, Rose, Sunworthy, Pearson, and Chadwick. The fight continues in the midfield. Let's continue our conversation with USF Pro 2000 champion Lockie Hughes from Australia. Tell us a little about yourself, how you ended up racing here in America.
Yeah, well, I grew up racing in Australia, go-karting, raced in Europe, came over to the US and did a lot of racing, so met a few people while I was racing go-karts over here, and I mean, IndyCar is the best racing anywhere in the world, so you know, I've always wanted to come over here and pursue a career in IndyCar.
So I want people to see you since we're in the booth. Turn around. We're at least going to wave. It's not a proper on-camera or pit lane interview. So, hi, everybody. There we are. There's Lockie. Very talented young man. I've heard a lot of great things up and down the paddock about you. So now you have a scholarship. It's what, $680-something thousand to help with the budget to move up into Indy next season. Have you already started having conversations with teams? How high is the interest?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I can't thank Dan Anderson enough and Anderson Promotions and the whole USF Pro Championships for making this possible. I mean, getting this scholarship to move up to INDY NXT next year is it's the only way my career is able to advance and to keep moving forward. So, you know, this pathway we have is unlike any other. So I'm so excited to be racing these next year, and I hope these next few races are some of the last INDY NXT races I have to watch on TV.
And the great thing about your rookie season next year is that the tracks will not be all different for you. You'll at least have experience at most of the venues.
Yes. Most of the tracks we've driven at, and of course the ovals will be a new experience.
So you just saw the blue Patterson Dental Go-Haven car, Jack William Miller, rolling to the pit lane. He received a drive-through for this, deemed to be blocking on Salvador de Alba.
Absolutely. The rule is you can move proactively but not reactively. It's the same rule we have in the USF Pro Championships. The 40 car obviously followed the 2 car out there, and because of that momentum shift, Christian Bogle said, I'll take 2, they're small, and goes by both of them. Jack Miller had to serve, and has now served his drive-through penalty for that.
Lockie, what's been your favorite track since you've come to America?
I think for sure it's got to be Road America. That track is, I mean, it's every lap you do around there, there's a smile on your face. And of course, all the street circuits we do over here in the US are also always so much fun.
And you got a little experience. You finished 3rd in USF 2000 last year, won the F4 US Championship a couple of years ago, and you've done the short oval at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Are you ready for a little bit more next year?
I hope so. It's definitely going to be a crazy different experience when we do it. I mean, I saw some onboards of these cars going around Nashville, and it's pretty quick.
Let's check in with DJ real quick on pit lane for more on Abel Motorsports.
Yeah, I'm down with Ken Boyer here, who is Jacob Abel's engineer. And what's the mood inside the camp right now about how everything's going?
We feel good. We feel the car's good. We're managing our push to pass. Foster's got a little bit more in us, but I think we're doing a really good job. Jacob feels comfortable in the car. He just wants to keep his lead.
Is he saying anything to you? Is he chatty over the radio or just head down?
No, when he's in front, he doesn't want you to tell him much. Just a little bit of information on the gap, and that's it.
All right, well, that sounds like a pretty confident driver here. Thanks, Ken.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And I don't think he needs to be told the gap. He can see it in his mirror. Sometimes it's closer, but we haven't seen a gap anything bigger than 3/4 of a second from Louis Foster behind him. So he's soaking up that pressure, doing what he needs to. Louis wants the win, but he also knows that this puts him further into the championship. You know, when he walks out of here, at the moment the points are 79. That's not enough to clinch. We would not crown a champion, but Louis Foster goes to Milwaukee knowing he would just have to start at that point.
You look at third and fourth, there's a good battle there as well with Bryce Aaron and Kyle Collette. That's it right there. Aaron in front in the black, red, and white car. The green and black car is Collette, who was a championship contender much of the season, was officially eliminated once the green flag flew, but it's been a really strong season, and what Collette can look forward to if he comes back is he needs a little more experience on the ovals. That's where it's really gone wrong.
And I was really impressed with Kyle because he owned up to that mistake last weekend. And I think in the moment he wasn't sure what had happened. But looking back, especially after qualifying yesterday, I heard an interview with him. He said, you know, that's my mistake. I feel really badly for ending Jamie's race. It was a big hit for both of us. And I will take the penalty, and I will do the best job I can. He had, coming off that win at Mid-Ohio, 2 DNFs in short ovals. But coming here, he's one of the few drivers who actually got to race here ahead of this Indy NXT race this year when he came and filled in for a race series earlier in the summer.
So, Lockie, as you prepare to do this next year, you drive a car like this. I've seen you chat with the Andretti people. Everybody's around. We notice those things. And obviously there are options out there. What can you do to prepare yourself between now and next spring to step up to more horsepower and a little more physical car?
Yeah, well, you're exactly right. First steps to get into the gym and prepare for this. I mean, we're already training a lot, but this is another step up. And then it's, you know, sim work. And then whoever I sign with, then it's just, you know, meeting with the engineer and starting to learn about how to make this car go fast.
Congratulations again. It's been fun to watch you develop here in America. We look forward to seeing you coming up next season, one step away from IndyCar. Let that sink in just a little bit in Indy NXT. Congratulations.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Lockie Hughes, 22-year-old from Australia, the USF Pro 2000 champion. Scholarship money to help him advance to Indy NXT by Firestone coming up next season. Finished up a great season with 5 wins with Turn 3 Motorsport. All right, back at it here. We are well past the midway at Portland. Jacob Abel grabbed the lead at the start on Louis Foster, the championship leader, who came in plus 92. And the scenario was, if he won the race and Abel finished third or worse, if Foster was going to wrap up the championship, Abel is helping keep himself alive. He grabbed the lead right at the start. He's also going to pick up the bonus points for most laps led. So I think this is really effectively 77
Correct.
is the lead for Louis Foster.
For most laps led. We're over halfway now. Louis Foster can't lead more laps than Jacob Abel has. Louis Foster picked up a point for leading the first lap. On pole, crossed that line first. He gets a point for that. And then Jacob Abel gets a point for leading a lap. Jacob Abel picks up 2 more. So it is 77 at the moment.
But it's not done for this race. Abel has withstood 1 restart and a little coming together, a little touch shortly after that restart. So we'll see how aggressive Foster would get if the opportunity is there. What are you doing if you're him? The championship is still safe. All he needs to do is run these last 2 races. Frankly, not crash in both. He could even crash in 1.
I was wondering if he got any radio counseling and driver coaching from the timing stand after that little bit of contact through turn 10, because it is such a high-risk corner to make an overtake. You know, ideally, Jacob Abel wins this race. That contact with Louis Foster puts him out, and they take a big chunk of points. But Louis Foster just needs to finish here. He's got a good gap with Bryce Aaron running in third behind him, about 3 seconds back. You know, it's a teammate car. He knows he's not going to race him too hard. And at the same time, he wants the win. He's a racer, but he wants the championship more.
And that's the other scenario. He knows that I've still got a little bit of buffer. I can could go for it here. I want wins, and that would give me 2 more races to make it happen. So you never count on a race car driver from getting ultra aggressive. That's the scenario right now, and many other positions still to be sorted out throughout the field. Let's head back down to pit lane. In DJ.
Well, Kevin, you can always count on a driver to be hyper-aggressive. You can always also count on them to be looking into the future, and that's exactly the conversation I had with Jacob Abel earlier this week, talking about what's in store for the young American.
The goal is IndyCar for sure. You know, I really want to race in the Indy 500. That's my dream. It has been, you know, ever since I started racing 10 or 12 years ago. So that's really the main goal. You know, the better we do the next 3 weekends will definitely help that. So, yeah, looking forward to it. Still, you know, a lot of time to figure things out for that, and just going to try and focus on these next 3 weekends and really enjoy it.
It is so challenging for drivers like Abel and Foster and any others that are thinking about moving up, because they go in direct competition with all of the drivers currently in IndyCar that are not sorted for next season. Drivers that have recently been in IndyCar, like Callum Ilott, like Théo Pourchaire, that have successful experience, and then other drivers wanting to come straight over from F2 and other things. So there is a lot still to be decided.
They don't call it the top of the pyramid, the top of the mountain for no reason. But
stop by 4 seconds now. Try to pressure him to use it without you using it.
That's a little bit of coaching. They're still coaching for the win here, which I like to see. It keeps the driver focused on the job at hand. Coaching him to pressure Jacob Abel to use overtake without using his own. If you get a big enough overtake differential, it can pay dividends in the last couple of laps, especially if you take care of those tires and have some extra grip.
The top 2 have checked out a bit on the rest of the field, 2+ seconds back to 3rd and so on, and really even 3rd and 4th have checked out from the next group. Bryce Aaron and Kyle Collette having their own little battle there for the final podium spot. And back in the pack a little bit further, you see Josh Pearson, Jay Local in that green and black car, and then Jamie Chadwick trying to fight off Callum Hedge. Callum Hedge is trying to make a move around again inside the top 10. Hedge in the black 17.
This battle's been going on for quite a few laps. These guys have been going back and forth, these drivers back and forth, side by side, even down into turn 9, into turn 10. And Josh Pearson running a very similar lap time to Jamie Chadwick. Callum Hedge behind, maybe a couple extra tenths. So we'll see. Like I said, catching's one thing, passing's a very different conversation.
Fastest lap of the race, by the way, is Louis Foster at a minute 3.368, about a tenth and a half quicker than what Kyle Collette has done. Reese Gold, 3rd quick, the leader of the race. Jacob Abel, who doesn't have the use of a draft up front, he's done a minute 3.55, so a couple of tenths off Foster. And then Salvador de Alba is next. Here's Hedge going to the inside. Little lock up from both. And Hedge cannot make the corner, and neither can Chadwick. Both, though, follow the preferred path, so there should not be any penalties. But Chadwick clipped a couple of cones and some signboards. They're going to lose positions, but should not be any further penalty there, because that is the path you are asked to follow so that you do not pick up an advantage.
And with time and position, they lose positions, lost a lot of time. I think the stewards will look favorably on that chicane missing procedure.
So it's under review just to make sure there was nothing untoward. No contact there. Hedge just couldn't make the corner, so he bails out. Chadwick feels the same. She clips the sign, but I think still follows the path. But they're going to lose several positions. And so the review we're hearing about is something that happened earlier, about a half a lap before. Actually, 2 reviews going on. So we're checking that and checking more, so it's busy in race control. And here's Christian Bogle and Salvador de Alba Jr. fighting for 11th. Bogle wins the fight right now.
That was very tight. I think Salvador de Alba Jr. looked at making a move inside Christian Bogle. It wasn't quite there. He's able to safely back out, but this race is continuing, and the recovering Callum Hedge is now behind that car, that number 2 Grupo Indy car.
Callum Hedge was fun to watch at Gateway last week. He avoided a couple of crashes and has been very impressive without oval experience in what we've seen. Jacob Abel's been good on ovals. Louis Foster's been good at everything, like Abel has in his experience at this level, and they are still fighting for it. It is not decided up front.
And these front 2 cars running nose to tail kind of as they have, but Bryce, Aaron, and Kyle Collette have closed that gap significantly. It was 2 clear groups earlier, and now it's 1 extended train with under 3 seconds covering the top 4.
Bryce Aaron, I think, has had a really nice rookie season. Remember, even though he's an American, he's from Illinois, he has not been racing in America. These tracks are new to him this year. He was a Team USA scholarship winner after running in British Formula Ford, and then went up through that path in what was British F3 and now known as GB3, ran in the Euro Formula Open Championship last year, won 3 times, wanted to come back home, has done a little bit of USF Pro testing to get some more experience, including on the oval at Raceway Park. And Bryce done a nice job this year. He's got a podium at Laguna Seca, finished 6th last week at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
And he ran the test day here on Thursday to get as many laps as possible in that USF Pro car before the Indy NXT race this weekend, and it's paying off.
Louis Foster is not ready to give in at this point. He is going to continue to stay on the attack, and he may not go for it, but what he's thinking, I assume, is I'm going to make sure he knows I'm here and see if I can just simply force him into a mistake.
And the other thought, if I'm Louis Foster in this position, I'm thinking about pressuring Jacob Abel into a mistake and also staying aggressive, because I know Bryce Aaron and Kyle Collette are getting closer. I can see them in my mirrors now. So I am thinking about what I need to do to push Jacob Abel to go forward and open a gap behind me to stay safe from and not have to fight a rear guard action in these last 6 laps.
Last lap for Bryce Aaron was a couple of tenths faster than Louis Foster, who was half a tenth faster than Jacob Abel. So is Abel holding up Foster at this point? It's one thing to get there, it's tough to get around him when the ultimate pace of the car is really probably only separated by half a tenth to a tenth, even if you are quicker. Let's look at this a moment ago with Jamie Chadwick and Callum Hedge.
So Callum Hedge has already stuck his nose to what is driver's right, or the inside of Jamie Chadwick. Jamie Chadwick goes to cover that. The stewards have called that block in, but since Callum Hedge has already passed Jamie Chadwick for 13th, they are calling for no action. Essentially, it took care of itself on the racetrack.
Kind of talking in the IndyCar booth with Townsend and Hinch about what's the most similar track on the schedule. It's maybe Indianapolis, the road course, because it's flat, has a couple of long straightaways. Maybe not a coincidence. Jacob Abel, that's one of his 2 wins this season. So Abel Motorsports has been strong here. I've been very impressed with Abel Motorsports. This was a program and a team, let's be honest, could develop for Jacob to grow up through the ladder, but now they've added teammates. So take a look at the remaining schedule, and they're getting a lot of interest for drivers wanting to move up because of what Yuvan Sunmorthy has done. 4th a couple of times on the podium. Jordan Missick has shown well. Others have been in the mix on that team, so it's more than just about Jacob Abel.
And if I'm a young driver looking at moving into Indy NXT and don't have the budget or want a little more personalized experience than somewhere like Andretti Global or HMD, then Abel Motorsports is a great opportunity because they've proven they can run more than 1 or 2 cars successfully. Very few, if any, mechanical failures. The cars are quick, and in fact, it helps the program to have more cars learning and developing alongside the experienced drivers like Yuvan Sunmorthy will be next year.
Less than 3 to go now. And by the way, it will continue with a multiple car program even if and when Jacob Abel moves up into IndyCar, and that is the hope for next year. And he's probably to the point where it's kind of IndyCar or nothing. I don't know. You can always learn, but it also is expensive to run at this level. So I don't expect that we would see Jacob continue in Indy next season.
There's Bill Abel, Jacob's father, watching. Abel Motorsports has done a really nice job, and a couple of years ago they shocked the Indy 500 paddock by making the Indy 500 field in a year for their first attempt. They ran really well with RC Enerson. You know, I think if Jacob Abel's thinking about the Indy 500 and IndyCar for the future, it's a great opportunity to build that family team for the future.
There's really no path. At one point, there was a hope and a thought, if everything aligned, with 2 to go now, to be able to move Abel Motorsports up to IndyCar, but there's no engine leases available. So they could still do a one-off program for the Indy 500, but Jacob told me, well, we're hoping to do more races. So I think it's potentially a partnership with another team, essentially joining another team. There's still some open seats that are out there for next season.
And the political landscape is evolving in IndyCar with the rumor of the charter system coming in, but Bryce Aaron has not given up. With 2 laps to go, we're coming to the white flag next time by, but he's inside a second on Louis Foster now.
And Kyle Collette has stayed pace, so really the top 4 are all separated by a pretty equal margin. Then it's a little further back to Christian Brooks. Reese Gold is still thinking about getting up into the top 5, but it's nice recovery for Miles Rowe. When I mention him, it's been a tough go for Miles. A lot of it not through his doing. He's made a couple of mistakes, but sometimes he's just simply been taken out, but he's going to get a decent result out of today. As we see the white flag, less than 2 miles to go from Portland.
This is exactly what Jacob Abel needed to do. He needed a little help from Louis Foster to make some mistakes. Louis not made any mistakes. Bryce Aaron is a teammate of Louis Foster, and they know they want to win this championship. So Jacob Abel needed to take the win, do everything he can, and if they finish this lap like this, we are not crowning an Indy NXT champion. It will go on to Milwaukee next week.
So you're telling me there is a chance. It is a slim chance, but it would stay alive, and anything can happen on ovals. Next Saturday from Milwaukee, a weekend off. The following weekend, mid-September, from Nashville Super Speedway, Louis Foster is still in great shape for the championship, but Jacob Abel today has done what he needed to do. He grabbed the lead at the start. He held off a dominant driver in Louis Foster, and for the 3rd time in 2024, Jacob Abel has won in Indy NXT to keep his championship hopes alive.
Yes! Incredible drive from Jacob Abel, soaking up all that pressure from Louis Foster, knowing...
Let's go, boys. Let's go. Awesome job. Awesome job all week.
He knew he had to win the race to keep his championship at least alive. And that's what he did. Took care of business today.
Awesome job, dude. Really, really good drive.
And then there were two races, 2 alive in the championship. It's Louis Foster, who has his run of 6 in 8 races slowed for the moment. He had won the last 2, finished second in another, had won 2, finished second, won the other. He hasn't finished anything worse than second since the first half of the doubleheader at Indianapolis on the road course. All of the rest have been first or second. It's still going pretty good for Louis Foster.
Absolutely.
Here are final results. Great day for Bryce Aaron, his 2nd podium.
Really impressive for Christian Brooks, coming in and finishing in the top 5. He had a little bit of a rough weekend at WWT Raceway last weekend, but all 6 races he's run here in Indy NXT, he's finished in the top 8. Others looking to finish up the season on a high note. We're done with road courses, so you better get it done on an oval. And if you want to be an IndyCar driver, you need to be adept at oval racing. So even if the championship is out of play, there is so much more to play for in these final 2 races to learn. There's so much experience to be had on these short ovals. Milwaukee is such a challenge. The Nashville Super Speedway, a 1.3-mile concrete oval to finish out the year. Great experience for these drivers if they come back to Indy NXT next year or they move up to the IndyCar Championship. I think there will be quite a few that will be efforting to get back next season. I talked to Bryce Aaron's family yesterday, and their goal is to return to Indy NXT for next season. Certainly that would be the case of Christian Brooks. Miles Rowe confirmed to me that he expects to be back and thinks all things are going to be aligned for that. Nothing official at this point, but he's optimistic, and that's what he hopes. Same for Yuvan Sunderworthy, who
I think has had a really nice rookie season this year. And one of the veterans in the series, Jacob Abel, is showing that he can win races. Number 3 on the year for the native from Louisville, who has spent time at Butler University in Indianapolis and can still think championship. Jacob Abel has won again in Indy Next.
will feature NTT IndyCar Series races next Saturday and Sunday. Don't miss the fun and the free fans.
Jacob Abel getting out of the car. You can see the smile on his face. A big yes there for Jacob. And Jacob, we came into this weekend talking about Louis Foster, but you just did the impossible. You said, nah, it's still a championship left. Let's keep this going a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that was just a really good weekend, you know, start to finish for us. We didn't roll off the trailer that well at all. You know, we were really struggling there the first practice session, especially going against someone like Louis, who won here last year and rolled off and just made us stuff better and better. So huge shout out to the Able Motorsports crew. I mean, they did a fantastic job. We worked really hard this weekend, and yeah, it was a little tough there. Obviously, he was putting the pressure on me the whole time, but yeah, it was awesome. So huge thanks to everyone.
Well, I want to look ahead here. The next two courses we head to are ovals, which tends to be a little bit of a strength of yours. Could we see this impossible dream continue on here to the end of the Indy Next season?
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, we're really just trying to go out and win some races. You know, we lost a little bit of ground there in the middle of the season, so just trying to go out and have some fun and you know, enjoy my last few races in Indy Next and hopefully make the jump to IndyCar next year.
All right, well, we wish you the luck in that, and we hope to see you in IndyCar next year, Jacob.
Thank you.
Well done for Jacob Abel. This is how the championship looks at this point. Louis Foster, even if Jacob Abel wins next week, only needs to finish 5th to wrap up the championship. Another way to look at it is he could finish 16th in both races and still win, even if Abel sweeps the final 3. So he's still in great shape.
He's still in great shape. Jacob Abel knew what he had to do today, got it done. Louis Foster needs 23 points over the next 2 races to be the Indy Next champion.
It's been a fun weekend in Portland, but we are far from done. IndyCar is coming up on USA and here at Peacock as well. 3 o'clock Eastern, noon local, green flag at 3:30 Eastern. We will see you then, and we'll see you next week in Milwaukee. For DJ Clark and Charlie Kimball, I'm Kevin Lee. Thanks for joining us with NBC Sports.